there's three elements of expectation theory, and the first and most important one is the expectations you have of yourself. And the higher the aspirational expectations, the more likely you will achieve them. And if you, well, it just goes back to some of the early kind of consensus of the whole motivational world of which you were part, was that if you believe it, you can achieve it.
Yeah.
And to a large extent that is simply expectation theory. If you expect your ambition and your goals to be achievable, the chances of them coming into fruition are very, very high because of your own expectation of your own ability to achieve them.
Yeah.
However, if that is all you've got, and the other two don't help that, you've got a Tinto Hill climb ahead of you, a big climb ahead of you. If the only driver you've got is expectation of yourself, it's important, but it can't be done alone. You need your peers and those you love to have high expectations of you as well.
High expectations of you?
Yeah, of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the big issue I have for kids at school, both when I was at school and as I see some of the educational concepts that are out just now, is that teachers have average or low expectations of their pupils. So the pupils live up to that low or average expectation.
Yeah.
If someone is behind at school, and one of my grandchildren's a little bit behind in reading and writing, and it appears to me, and I could be fundamentally wrong here, but he's been relegated to a group of people where collectively that expectation is that they will never be able to read and write well.
Amount to nothing. Amount to nothing. I was told it so often at school. You'll amount to nothing.
So low expectation of those that children should be looking up to, which is their parents and children, teachers. Then if they have low expectation of the children will live up to or down to that expectation. And those that you love and your peer group in work or in play, if they have high expectations of you, and you've seen that in the football field, if you can collectively get an entire team to have a high expectation of the result, the chances are that result has got a much higher chance of being delivered.
You would rule the world, because you know what, Charles, you would be the first football team ever who played for each other. That's their big problem. They all have a personal agenda.
Well, one of my clients in financial services had a concept that he developed in consulting, which was called boardroom mentoring. And the precept of that whole concept was that boards take minutes and waste hours. That's their raison d'etre. That's all they do, take minutes and waste hours. And they do it because every one of the constituent parts of most boards, from small private companies right up to publicly quoted companies, are made up of people whose entire energy is not to be found out. It's devoted to not being found out how inadequate you are, how scared shitless you are of being found out how inadequate you are, so do your best to protect your own butt. So therefore the collective, the individual within boards is not working to the common good collective, just like your football players, and they're trying to only preserve their own position and their own livelihood, and that's where all the energy is going, and nobody is working individually or collectively to the common good.
I've always thought boardroom was a misspelling. No, I think you're spot on with that one. And I like where you were going with if you know what your objective, what your desired outcome is, and you concentrate on it. But you do need other people on board. I mean,
it helps.
you were that person for me at one point, and so. But you've also got to say, why would they want to help me? So you've got to have something to give them back. It's a put and take here. Or people are not attracted to help you realise your dream. So, what advice would you give on our millions of viewers?
Well, I find that in the helicopter world is probably the most satisfying element is seeing other people be inspired by mastering what is a very complex and difficult challenge, and coming out at the end of that with a private pilot, or in many cases a commercial helicopter license, and doing what probably 1 in 50,000 people can do. Partly that's economic, but mostly it's the ability. So for me, there's huge amounts of satisfaction in watching other people achieve it, and that's what you find in life, that you are helped on your way to a degree, and in fact almost 10 by a factor of 10 times, by the degree that you help other people achieve their objectives.
Good. I like that. I like that.
Just absolutely magnifies your ability. It's, you know, and there's been songs about that. You know, you're on the shoulders of giants, and you know, I think what was the you never walk alone. Inside of all of us is a need to help someone else. In fact, somebody taught me, I remember when I was young, I think it was my first trip abroad, and my uncle said to me, always start a question. If you get someone who can understand what you want, start the question by, I wonder if you can help me. Right? Whatever the question is about, whatever the circumstances are, wherever in the world you are, look someone straight in the eye and say, excuse me, I wonder if you can help me. It's very, very hard for someone to say no.
But that's so what I can give you an actual example of that was David Moyes was taken over as manager at Everton, and there was a young boy, a youth player, 15 years old, reckoned that he was going to be the best thing that ever happened in football. He was going to take over the planet, and David thought, well, I've never handled the youth from that stage to I could go so wrong with this. And he had to speak to a gathering of all the fans and other managers and whatnot. And he said to me, what do you think, you know, I should talk about? And I said to him, just go out and say, look, I need every minute I've got to manage the team, but you could help me greatly. Would anybody advise me, what do I do about Wayne Rooney? And immediately another manager said, send him to my club for a while. but that was, he asked the question, he was courageous enough to say, how do I handle this phenomenon called Wayne Rooney? And that was he said, please help me. I wonder if you could help me.
Interesting, I was reflecting with someone the other day in virtually 45 years in business. I was trying to remember the kind of people I've had through my hands as employees or colleagues or partners or whatever, and I could probably imagine it's realistically in the region of 500 to 700, maybe even more than that.
Really?
Yeah. It's just the number of people that come through your life as an employee, where you're trying to get them engaged in improving and becoming a part of the organisation that you're running. And the reflection was quite damning, really, on employees. And the question that was asked, I didn't ask it, but I was challenged to guess an answer, was how many of those, say it was 600 employees, realistically, how many are memorable? How many can you remember? And honestly, I would say it's about a dozen.
Yeah.
And it's generally the givers that you remember, the people that were dramatically gregarious and magnanimous. Two great qualities of employees: the willingness to help other people, the willingness to assist anyone in the organisation, and the willingness, in our case, to assist customers. We had a direct relationship with customers. And most employees, and you find it today, it's an indictment of modern society, unfortunately. You call a call centre for some help, and they're supposed to be in the service of helping you. And by the time you get through to a human being, you're already very, very, very annoyed. And it would take an exceptional person to bring you back to the feeling of being with an organisation like an insurer or something that really cared about its customers.